Hi folks and welcome to your Gersnet immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering. My name's Alec Anderson and I'm speaking to you shortly after Rangers' coruscating, scintillating, invigorating, stimulating, really kind of mildly interesting at best 2-0 win over St Johnstone at McDermott Park in today's lunchtime SPFL Premiership match. Yeah, take that, boo boys, kapow! Team from Perth are at the bottom of the table. Biff bash 12:30 on a Saturday kickoffs because Michael Beale quite rightly in yesterday's presser mentioned the fact that Rangers have had 21 shots on goal, more than anybody else in the Premiership this season. And I've not seen any news so far of the later kickoffs today. Maybe teams weren't bothering to come down the tunnel after seeing that Rangers had at least 18-20 more shots on target today to add to that tally. Maybe Celtic just sat in the dressing room and said, look, well, there's no way we're going to be able to catch up with the only league table that counts, which is the shots on target league table. He also was talking about clean sheets, a couple of clean sheets now against Ross County and now against another clean sheet to be added to the total. And I think he's been too modest because he doesn't mention the fact that at 12:30 on a Saturday, away from home for Rangers has been a problem. You try to tell me that McDermott Park and Dingwall haven't been problems for Victoria Park and Dingwall, haven't been problems for us over the last, it feels like forever, but maybe 6-7 years. They haven't been difficult venues, and also I don't do away games now. I don't have the money, I don't have the energy, but I just do Ibrox and Hampden. But 12:30, Rangers away from home on a Saturday, sitting there on the sofa, and it feels like the breakfast is barely digested and it's going to come back up because you're just getting the fear because they're struggling. Well, that is in between these two kind of inconsequential games against PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands and against some mobbing grey and green hoops. Michael Beale has bracketed those two kind of relatively meaningless games with 2-0, 2 clean sheets and 2 goals to the good against both Ross County in Dingwall and St Johnstone in Perth. Take that. The 12:30 on a Saturday jinx is finally laid low. We've got to work on the 5:15 on a Saturday jinx and the 12 o'clock on a Sunday jinx and the 9 o'clock Central European time on a Wednesday night jinx. But bam, 12:30 Saturday, you can't say that Michael Beale hasn't turned that golden. I think if the noise that dominated the reaction to our last game was boo, 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 I think the noise that will dominate the reaction to this game today is kind of, for a lot of people, it's going to be, and I think at best you're going to get a kind of, yeah. But no, this was a perfectly annoying performance and results. He's no longer a dead man walking, Michael Beale, but I think that the Padre isn't going anywhere. He's hanging about at the 11th hour, just waiting for that phone call from the Supreme Court before he decides to go home. Yeah, it's when half the Rangers support is totally convinced Michael Beale's got to go, and the other half is like, look, it's too early to tell. We don't want to rush to conclusions just yet. And absolutely nobody, not one Rangers supporter, is saying Michael Beale is the man. I will die on the hill of Michael Beale as the Rangers manager. To go there today and provide a result and a performance that neither proves he should stay or gets on the sack is just kind of... No result today, no performance. It's not St Johnstone at McDermott that's going to prove that you are the Rangers manager, but you just wanted to see some sort of reaction. I don't know if is that a thing, is reacting to bad results? Is that a thing of the past? Am I imagining it? Is it like, fullbacks who like a good tackle, or wingers who like a smoke? Is it that kind of thing where I've just imagined it and the football's moved on from then? I remember we lost a really late equaliser to Hibs at Christmas in Steven Gerrard's first season, and he followed that up with our first win over Celtic in over 2 years, certainly since we're back in the top flight. That's the last kind of reacting to a bad performance by a great performance that I can remember from Rangers. It's maybe particularly harsh because Beale is only over a month into his competitive reign at the start of his first full season, where he's got all these new players, whereas Gerrard had his kind of players, and he did a lot of European football, and we're talking he was kind of halfway through the season. So I just don't know if it's possible, but I expect to see more than that today. And I've got to be honest, I've got to contextualise this I love roast chicken. Do you love roast chicken? I love roast chicken. Saturday night, look at me. You know that I love a roast chicken. And I mean, I roast chicken every Saturday. It's Saturday night. If I'm going to be at home, I'll either buy the roast chicken in Morrison's during the week. I'll get it. I'll get it in the oven. I'll get it all cooked and all that. Or I'll just go to Morrison's and get a rotisserie one, just ready made, and do it in a winner. Nobody else is having roast chicken. It's just me, a whole roast chicken, and that's why I'm morbidly obese. But that's my Saturday night thing. And I also love spaghetti bolognese. Lasagna is probably second. Spag bol, that's my third. Probably my third favourite. Love spag bol. But I don't want it on a Saturday night. But that's because somebody with varifocals got something mixed up with the sell-by dates. The mince that I thought was going to be good for, having spag bol tomorrow is going to go off on Monday, I think it is. So we're having spag bol tonight. I had the chicken last night, and I'm sitting here going, I love spag bol. We're having spag bol tonight. That's great. But it's no chicken. Something I love is actually upsetting me. And today, I love Rangers winning. I love Rangers winning football matches, obviously. That's what I live for. And yet today, the one thing I love more, like loving chicken more than spag bol, the one thing I love more than Rangers winning is knowing Rangers are in safe hands, or knowing Rangers are pointing themselves in the right direction for the future. And there's no conclusion today. It was neither bad enough for Beale to be getting sacked tomorrow morning, or good enough to make us think, yeah, it's going to be okay. They're saying at the end of the game, a young guy doing the Sky today, no Ailey Barber. I don't know if it's just the naivety of the fella. I don't watch a lot of Sky these days, so I don't really recognise him. Maybe he's not as new as I think he is, but he's talking about how, Michael Beale's got 4 home games coming up now and he's going to be fine. He's not going to be fine. 4 home games is the worst thing he needs. Remember the reaction you were talking about at the beginning of the game to his last home game. He's got 4 kind of landmines coming up. He's got 4 traps being set from. The Bears are going to be there in force. 3 different competitions. None of these games, winning any of these, unless it maybe pastes Real Betis 5 or 6-0, because Michael was telling us today how Pellegrino's a great manager and 6th in La Liga. And I just don't say stuff like that. Just say really good side. All Spanish sides are good, so, it's going to be a hard game. Don't say stuff. You sound like you're trying to justify yourself. You sound like you're actually trying to patronise. Anyway, never mind. Maybe if we absolutely destroy Real Betis, then that'll be fine. Everybody will change their mind about Michael Beale. But I don't think so. Winning all these games is not going to kind of convince many people that he's the man for the job. They're just going to convince them that we shouldn't sack him just now. Losing any of them, not winning any, I would say, certainly Aberdeen and Motherwell in the league. Absolutely. If we don't, it's going to be played to a finish against Livingston in the League Cup. It could be gone by October. It could be gone after any one of these games. So it's coaching a shaky peg still, I would very much say. And I have to fully contextualise this. I nearly said emotional roller coaster there. Journey, that's even more corny. Where heads have been fried the last fortnight. My head was fried during the game against Celtic with his tactics and what was happening. But I was quite stunned by the viciousness of the reaction from some supporters. I wasn't convinced it was the right thing to do, but it's a lot of people think the club are treating us as customers, so customers will go and voice their complaints these days until they get somebody sacked. So that's maybe what is happening. I'm not convinced that's the best way to go, but nevertheless, I was doing my post-match reaction pod for Gersnet after that game. I was saying it was terrible. The performance was terrible. Michael Beale is not looking very good, but it wasn't time to sack him. And then during the week, you see that thing that happens. It's happened too many times of late, over the last 10 years anyway, at Rangers, where a Rangers manager is getting a lot of abuse. And you're watching the various things people do podcasts. People do podcasts about Rangers, absolute clowns. But anyway, I watch them, and there's social media, X, Twitter, whatever it is, and you're seeing some of the criticism coming in. And I find myself not defending Michael Beale, but kind of defending him against these particular criticisms, because if you're talking about something as massive as sacking the manager of Rangers, particularly at a time where we're still coming back for 2012, I maintain that. It's still kind of sensitive. We're not in a position where we can just idly sack managers. We can just say, it's not be good enough for the last month, mate, you've got to go. If somebody's building something, we don't have the money yet to be just changing the situation without it really needing changed. You need to make sure your criticisms are spot on. And a lot of stuff this week's just been pile-ons. So I end up coming in and I'm defending Michael Beale. And one of the main things was he's terrible at press conferences. I don't like the way he's not very convincing. He talks too much. He doesn't sound like the guy who would give the players a ball and be able to slap about a couple of players if it came to that. And I'm thinking, that's got nothing to do with it. There's plenty of managers who are absolutely awful in front of the cameras, but get great results. And I can't name one, of course, but they get great results, and that's the only way we should be judging them. The performances and the results are not anywhere near good enough just now, but it's starting to invent stuff, hounding them off social media and stuff like that. And then we get to Friday, 9 o'clock yesterday morning, he comes out and he's telling us there's been a great reaction. And I'm like, to what? What? In training. The Rangers players have reacted to the Old Firm defeat really well in training. I'm like, you can't, that's an oxymoron, that's physically impossible. You can't do that. You can't react to a defeat as a Rangers player by how you play in training, what you do in training. The only way you can react is yet to happen. It's a competitive match, and that's tomorrow, Michael. And then he's telling us the whole thing about having more shots on goal than anybody else, and I'm quietly dying inside. So today, when he comes out today before the game, and what did he say? It was the first defeat for him and his management team at home. First home defeat they'd suffered against Celtic. Don't do this stuff. And I see the team sheet, and I'm automatically, my hackles are up anyway. Unfairly, I'm going against my own advice on criticising the manager in the way I was. But I was just like, what's he doing? All these 6 changes. Obviously, one of them is enforced because of the injury to Todd Cantwell, and that's you got to feel sorry for the manager there. He's coming out making his first public appearance since the debacle against Celtic yesterday. He's wanting to give us some good news. He has to tell us that our best player is out for 3 to 4 weeks, although he was diagnosed a week and a half ago, so I don't know how many. And again, it's the uncertainty, the news he gives you about injuries. Anyway, I just feel good, but Cantwell, he can't help. That's fine. And I see Yilmaz and Davis are in, so he's changed the entire left-hand side of the defence. John Lundstrom and who do we have? So you've obviously got Connor Goldson as the other centre-half on the right-hand side, and Tav is right back, and you've got Jack Butland in goals, and it's Raskan and Lundstrom. It's like a sitting 2 in midfield. In front of them, you get a 3 of Tom Lawrence, back for the first time in 13 months. That was absolutely great news, a great sight. On the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, Sam Lammers, jury very much out on him just now. He's on the right-hand side, and it looked like Roof was sitting in the middle, but behind Danilo. Danilo is the kind of lone out-and-out striker. And I'm thinking, are you resting players ahead of Thursday night because of Real Betis? You won't see Thursday night if you don't get the performance today. You need to be getting your best team on the park today. And then I'm coming up against myself, and I'm thinking, but Alec, Ibrox nearly rioted at the end of the last performance, so he's changed it. He's changed half the team. That's a reaction. The manager's trying. He's trying to give folk what they want. That last performance was diabolical. Here we've got a reaction, but I don't know. I'm being harsh on him, I know maybe there's some credibility to it, but we're kind of Turkish delight. He's full of Eastern promise, full of Eastern potential. Ridvan Yilmaz. I'm looking at him today at left back. I'm thinking, who does he remind me? He looks like somebody. It's a young Ray Winston. Ray Winston, teenage Ray Winston was in Scum. That kind of was a play. It became a TV thing, and then it was a film, and it's like, hey, Ray Winston, but at left back you are very much not the daddy. He's not going to be in he's not in the European squad. He's not playing on Thursday night. And again, the way Beale tried to justify that yesterday, the explanation, it's too much. But anyway, yeah, so Borna's going to be back in on Thursday, I would imagine. But I don't know. I felt as if it was maybe a bit of a risk today. But first quarter of an hour, absolutely dire. Terrible start to the game. I was singing the Billy Boys, the away end, 2 away ends today, but the Billy Boys was getting that bit, and I was kind of noticing that. The only thing Rangers were doing on the park to looking anyway impressive, like a positive reaction, was the all-white. Maybe made them look a bit like Real Madrid in terms of their kit, but that was it. And that's a reaction. The Billy Boys, it's a reaction, I know, to what their 2 SNP representatives were saying during the week, which I know was disgusting. After everything that happened at George Square, with Rangers just celebrating the league title, the way we were condemned and othered after that. I think it was like a flower bed and a bench get damaged, and it was made out to be like genocide, and the Rangers supporters paid to repair that anyway. And a doctored recording of Rangers players trying to make out that Rangers players, Glenn Kamara and Jermaine Defoe were singing hardcore, paramilitary songs, sectarian songs. It's obviously a fake, and yet the current First Minister went totally OTT about it, and he's never really, as far as I can remember, come back to apologise for getting that completely wrong. That was terrible, and for them those two clowns this week to be laughing about the British national anthem being booed. And I think the whole stuff with national anthems and flags is nonsense. I voted no in 2014, cards on the table. I voted Remain as well. I just like unions. I'm not a unionist in the classic sense, probably just like unions as in everybody should work together. As far as I'm concerned, there's a limit to that, but I'm probably old Labour, if you want to put a label on me at all. I don't vote SNP or whatever like that, but I'm not really going to get into it. But I just felt as if that was those two coming out during the week and just laughing at the booing of a national anthem after their OTT reaction as a party to us winning the league back in 2021 was pretty disgusting. But I think we need to know that we have reacted disgustingly by singing sectarian songs today. Even not just a wee bit. It's young guys. Listen, they're getting out their kit and get up to Perth at 12:30 on a Saturday. More than I do is I don't do the away games anymore. Just an old man talking here. But I would have a wee think about that one, or just ignore me altogether as you probably will. But don't let the disgusting behaviour of others make you react disgustingly or whatever. It wasn't. I didn't think it was a good look, but the only reason I was thinking about that is because there was nothing else to think about until the 15th minute of the game. 16th minute, St Johnstone got a corner and we hit them in the break. The ball completely misses any St Johnstone targets in the box, and it goes out to the left hand side, and Yilmaz and Lundstrom go and kind of chase it down out on our left hand side, and Raskin at us, chases it down out the right left hand side, and he carries it up. Nicholas Raskin carries it right up to the kind of halfway line. He's waiting for a runner. Of course, it's Tavernier, Captain Fantastic, James Tavernier. He comes running up through the middle. He takes the ball off Raskin, and then he wants a kind of extended 1-2, a kind of convoluted 1-2, if you like, with Lammers, who's in the kind of inside right channel. And Lammers does this thing where he has the ball, it's a wee soft shoe shuffle, we step inside and then plays it out to the right hand side to completely take the defender out of the game, and there's Tab on the wing, and he sits up an absolutely beautiful cross on the 6 yards, right at the edge of the 6 yard box, and up comes Danilo and just bangs that thing, an absolutely perfect header, very reminiscent I think of a header, was it against St Mirren, away to St Mirren, I think it may be St Johnstone as well. Morelos, remember Alfie got 2 goals. This is like 3 or 4 seasons ago. We're getting beat 1-0 late on a Sunday up at McDermott, and he scored 2 goals with the orange kit on. He scores 2 goals at the end to win the game for us. I'm sure one of them was a header very similar to Danilo's today, but it was a belter of a header. The big man just met it absolutely perfectly, put everything into it. And Danilo, who's got a goal against Livingston in the league at Ibrox, has got a goal against Morton in the League Cup, but has been kind of sidelined by the manager. The fans want to see more of him. Sidelined in place of Dessers, who was on the bench today. And is kind of remembered for a really bad miss against Servette in Geneva, and a miss that wasn't quite as bad against PSV at Ibrox. So what a lovely moment for him, except that he didn't even get to see it. I don't think, despite how quickly that ball flashed into the net past their old Bulgarian goalkeeper, I don't think he would even see the ball crossing the line or hit the net, because a late arriving St Johnstone defender, centre half, immediately connects with him. I think it was his shoulder. Danilo goes onto the guy's shoulder, his head goes onto the guy's shoulder, or maybe some head contact as well, but the two of them are semi-concussed at least. Both get substituted after a kind of 5-minute delay, and Danilo doesn't even get that moment of getting into the crowd and celebrating the Rangers fans behind the goal and lapping it up. We don't even get to think, oh great, we've got a striker who's now going to hit and run a form. We've got another option. He's got a compound fracture. You saw his face if you're watching it on television. It's all up like a balloon at the side there. He's got scarring, he's got bruising. It's a compound fracture. So all the best to him. I hope he's the main concern here, obviously, and I hope he makes a full recovery from that. But it's not going to be a quick one. So he's the very second we're actually getting a positive, it's taken away from us. It's turned into a negative. But Sima comes on in his place, and he does quite well. And we score a goal in the second half after the hour mark, which is disallowed. That's Kamar Roof had 2 goals disallowed via VAR in his last 2 games, and you know they must have been good goals. It must have been wrong to disallow them because Kamar Roof always scores, but he puts the ball away after Tav has, it's a period of pressure for St Johnstone, and they started the first 10 minutes or so of the second half, St Johnstone, with that kind of not sustained pressure as much, but there's a short pass back from Davis to Butland, which sees the St Johnstone striker is obviously going for the penalty. He's trying for it, but you never know what's going to happen. Butland just gets the ball just in front of him, but the guy goes down, and there's a few ropey moments, and you're thinking St Johnstone are one kind of lucky connection away from us seeing an on-air resignation from Michael Beale at full time. But we kind of come out of that little pressure. The ball gets played from Butland out to Tav. It gets to Tav eventually in the right-hand side, deep in his own half. He puts it over the top. And Seema and Roof, who teamed up really well, considering it was a substitution of circumstances in which Seema come on. It's Seema, I think, who is offside, but they combine anyway. They completely flummox the St Johnstone centre halves who should have dealt with it. They go through and go lovely, crossing each other's paths. Lovely forward play from the two of them. Seema draws the goalkeeper, draws the defence. Remember drawing them out. Remember I've said that. Plays it back into a beautifully judged run from Kamar Roof. But the initial ball over the top, apparently it's offside. Now I'm going, I don't know the rules of the game. That's the problem with so many people who are criticising VAR. They're doing it from a standpoint of, my team didn't get the goal, so VAR is bad. But I think so many of us don't actually know the full rules or all the protocols of VAR as well as the rules of the game. And I know that the attacking team gets the gets the advantage in a narrow decision on offside. That goes out the window the minute you've actually got VAR and the lines can get measured. He's offside, Seema. You can't see it to the naked eye. It's not a bit, but he's definitely offside. If the line, I'm going to trust the lines that have been drawn. The only thing that gets me is at the moment he's offside, he's coming back the way. He's running back towards his own half. Not by much. He's bending his run, but he's bending it by at least 180 degrees. So I don't know how that works. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say it was a wrong decision. Don't know how it works. But the thing to notice there is, again, it's come from our own half. And the goal that wraps it up, absolutely beautiful goal, 85th minute, when it's not been a convincing performance, let's be honest. But it comes from deep again. Ben Davis cuts out a forward pass from St Johnstone, then he plays the ball straight to Lundstrom, who lays it off really nicely to Raskan, who again does, it's like the move before the assist for each of the goals is the wee soft shoe shuffle. He pulls the ball one way and his opponent the other, and then slides in. Tom Lawrence, and then you can start to hear the voice choir. It's the valleys, and there's a lovely big bit of coal dust coming off it as Tom Lawrence plays this beautiful first time pass, defence splitting pass to the oncoming Rabbi Matondo. Matondo has come on by this point, I think, for Lammers, and he runs onto it perfectly. The daffodils everywhere, what have you, dragons and that, and he takes the ball first time in his left, takes it into the box, and a beautiful right foot shot into the far corner, and a week dominated by national anthems. All I can hear is Land of My Fathers. And how many times have two Welsh players combined for Rangers like that? It's not been, we don't have a big legacy of Welsh players, do we? It was absolutely a fantastic moment for Tom Lawrence, a fantastic moment for Rabbi Matondo, confirming the two of them from their various problems are coming back, and that was a good thing today. But overall, there was nothing convincing about that, not convincing enough to make any kind of judgment on Michael Beale. The one thing I would say, and we've got to do this, that I'm kind of, I've made a complete arse myself talking about my chicken, my roast chicken anyway, so why should I be suddenly embarrassed? But that today, that nominal 4-2-3-1, one of the criticisms that Michael Beale was getting this week that I was determined to defend him against was, we don't see any recognisable system. We don't see what he's doing. What's the plan? I don't care if I don't see a recognisable system. I just want the players to understand the system. And if I can understand the Rangers system, that means for certain that every manager we come up against understands it and will know how to plot against it. So it's all about just the players knowing what they're doing. And they seem to kind of know what they're doing today. It wasn't a very scintillating performance, but a really strange thing happened. Maybe it's just because I was bored and I was imagining putting things onto it, but that 4-2-3-1, there was no mistake in the fact that Raskin and Lundstrom were sitting, and they were a sitting pair. They were like parallel with each other for the whole game. It was reminding me of that really un-PC film with Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear playing like conjoined twins, and is it Stuck on You? I can't remember what it's called. And how they work in their little restaurant that they own, a little cafe, because it's a tight wee kitchen and the two of them, one can fry the stuff where the other one serves it up and blah, blah, blah. And they eventually get the operation to get separated, but they can't work in the kitchen. So they get a big belt, a double-sized belt, and to pull themselves together. And that's what it was like today with Lundstrom and the man himself, Nico Raskin. And I remember something, I think it was James McFadden saying, why is Raskin no going for that ball? Because it was trying to get back in position. They'd obviously been told, you are sitting there, they're sitting square in front of Davis and Golson. That's unmistakable. And why was that happening? When we're away to St Johnstone, the team at the bottom of the league. Full-backs high. The wing-backs are high. They're over the halfway line. The starting position for Yilmaz and Tav. And they're kind of parenthesising almost this. This is where I'm getting. I'm probably right out there. To me, it's like a front diamond. It was rather than just a kind of 3 and a 1. It seemed like Danilo and Roof sitting behind Danilo, and you got Tom Lawrence definitely out wide and left, and you Lammers definitely out wide and the right. But they're all interchanging. Now, I know that it seemed almost that Beale is saying we're going to have the defence absolutely solid and protected, and then the wing backs, that's kind of quite rigid as well. But this 4 is going to be allowed to be fluid and flourish and move around and do what it can. And all of our goals are coming from counter-attacks. And that, I think, is 4 of our last 6 goals have been scored on the break, moves from at least Tav up at Dingwall, intercepting the halfway line and then pushing forward and scoring the goal himself. The goal that put us 2-1 up from Matondo against PSV at Ibrox, and those 2 today have been moves that have involved at least half the length of the pitch, if not the full length of the pitch for some of them. And we're not doing that thing where we're camped outside the box with lots of possession, moving it from side to side, from maybe about 30 yards out, or ever looking for space to get through, or a wee cross we can get in that's from behind, getting in behind the defenders. Is Michael Beale trying to change it so that we're using the length of the pitch rather than the breadth? And the criticism of we're trying to draw Celtic out at Ibrox. We definitely played as the away team. We definitely played PSV Eindhoven on the break at Ibrox. I don't know, this is part of the plan. I'm part of a plan involving James Bisgrove and John Bennett, said Michael Beale at yesterday's press. And I don't know if this is what it is. He's going to change the way we draw it. I'm over-analysing it because there was nothing else to kind of think about today, but it seemed quite interesting. And I don't know if these players that he's recruiting, he's the de facto sporting director, football director, Michael Beale. Is he getting guys that are clever, not just technically, not clever with their feet? He'll have watched all the videos, he'll know about their fitness, he'll know where they can play, he'll know what they can do with the ball at their feet. But is he going to meet these players, as he was saying, face to face? And again, old school, I'm thinking, he's going to, pitting the nut in them and chest bumping them and all that. Are you up for it, mate? Can you handle life at Rangers? Aye, gaffer. I'm staunch, maybe arm wrestling them. No, I think he's going over there with Neil Banfield is going over to the Netherlands to see these guys, going to Italy to see these guys and interviewing them, and he's getting them in a wee room, and I think Banfield's maybe playing them at Connect 4 while they've got a Rubik's Cube in the other hand, and he's got the Trivial Pursuit and he's firing the questions at them, because Michael Beale, the one thing we know about him is he's an absolute anal retentive. He's a total geek when it comes to tactics. He will have every formation possible in his head. He will want to go to town with the tactical stuff, and that's a manager, a good manager should know when to check that. But is this what he's trying to do? I know, tactical flexibility doesn't result in fluidity on the pitch, but if you've got players that are clever enough to understand it now. Tom Lawrence wasn't a signing, wasn't a Michael Beale signing, but like Danilo is, Lammers, Dessers definitely, and Matondo not a Beale signing, but he knows all about him. And other players in the team are coming from the time when Beale was there as a coach with Steven Gerrard. So I don't know, is this what he's wanting to do? He's been criticised through the week for being reactive rather than proactive. But is there anything more proactive than always being able to react to the opposition's tactics? And I think it's interesting. It might be up to that today. I don't want to talk about myself, but myself and Ronnie Esplin did a wee book 20 odd years ago about Stick Advocates ran at Ibrox, and there was I remember there was chat about Jan Wouters when Jan Wouters, not a legendary Dutch midfielder, international midfielder, right hard man as well, but a cracking technical player. When he came over to join Advocaat's coaching team, it was like, we do the third pass, we do the third pass, and Dick Advocaat was like, no, we can't do that. Yeah, and then the third pass was this thing about the Dutch, their reputation for using space in football. You've always got to be thinking about your next pass when you take the ball. But the Dutch would encourage their players as they're training them to think about the pass that the player you're passing to is going to make after you've passed it to him. You're looking at the future basically as you're looking at the pitch, and Dick Advocaat just said, they'll not be able to take that on board over here. It's just, they don't have the intellect. Is Michael Beale going out looking for the kind of players who can take that kind of stuff on board? And this is why we're trying to, play Celtic on the break at Ibrox. But he changed it at half time against Celtic, so I don't know. Maybe that's what he's trying to do, and maybe we won't find out much about what he's trying to do after any one of these, landmine type 4 games on the trot at Ibrox, where the whole crowd is going to be waiting to get in his back if he makes a mistake. None of these games will guarantee he's going to make it to Christmas if he wins them all. These 4 successive home games before the end of the month, but slipping up in any one of them will definitely cost him his job. So the main thing to report from today is Rangers won, and I'm going to go and have some bolognese. Cheers, guys.